$89. That is your checking account balance on a Tuesday morning, the same morning you turn 29, and you find out by
Payment
accident
rejected.
because your card gets
Again.
declined buying a coffee that costs $3.40. You are not reckless. You have a steady job at the clinic, decent hours, a car that mostly starts, but $11,200 sits across two cards, quietly charging interest while you sleep, and nobody ever sat you down and explained what that number actually does over time. Here is the honest starting point. You are not behind because you are bad with money. You are behind because compound interest was never explained to you the way it should have been. And by the time you understood it, it had already been working against you for 6 years. But something changes by year 3 that has nothing to do with a raise or an inheritance, and it is worth staying for, because it is not what you think. Nobody teaches this part in school, and nobody teaches it at home either, if your parents were also figuring it out one paycheck at a time. Debt gets explained to you as a number to be ashamed of, something to hide the way you might hide a bad test grade. And shame is a terrible teacher because it makes you avoid the very thing you need to study closely. A hidden number cannot be managed, it can only be feared, and fear does not pay down a single dollar of principal. Month 1 looks like almost nothing. You open a spreadsheet you find online, type in $11,200, and stare at it for 4 minutes without doing anything else. That is the whole action, looking. Most people skip this step because looking feels worse than not knowing, but not knowing was never actually protecting you from anything. You pick the smaller card first, the one at $430, and you send an extra $25 on top of the minimum, $25 on a Wednesday, from an account that still has less in it than you would like it to. Nothing about your life looks different that week. You still take the bus twice because the car needs a part you cannot afford yet. You still eat the same rice and beans dinner you have eaten every Sunday for 2 years. $25 does not feel like a decision that matters. It feels like nothing at all. By month 3, that smaller card is gone. Not because anything dramatic happened, because the $25 rolled into 35, then 40, following the balance down like water finding the lowest point. You tell your sister on the phone in a completely ordinary voice, and she says good for you and goes back to talking about her kid's soccer game. Nobody throws you a party for $430. That silence is exactly what tells you it is real. Something starts happening around month 7 that nobody warns you about. The second card, the bigger one, barely moves for weeks at a time because interest is still eating most of what you send. This is where most people quietly go back to the old habit. A friend's birthday dinner costs $60 you do not have, and the old card is right there, already open on your phone, one tap away from feeling normal again. You feel that pull too, standing in the restaurant bathroom for a second longer than you need to, deciding. You do not open the old card. You send a text instead, saying you will come for dessert only, and you order water. It is not a dramatic moment to anyone at that table. To you, it is the entire year happening inside 4 minutes. This is the part nobody warns you about either. The middle of any debt payoff is the least motivating stretch because the visible progress slows down exactly when the emotional fatigue is highest. Month 1 has the thrill of starting. The final month has the thrill of finishing. Month 7 has neither. It just has a slightly smaller number and a very tired version of you standing in a bathroom, deciding whether tonight is the night you quit quietly, and nobody ever knows the difference. Year 1 ends without fireworks. You still ride the bus twice a week. You still have a couch from the thrift store with one uneven leg propped on a folded magazine. But something about how you spend a Tuesday evening has changed. You used to scroll and buy something small just to feel like the day accomplished something. Now you check the number instead, and watching it move down gives you the same small hit that a purchase used to. Year 2 is where the real shift happens, and it is not visible to anyone watching from outside. Somewhere in that year, you stop feeling like the debt defines who you are. You start feeling like it is simply a task with an end date, the way a long work shift has an end time even when it is exhausting in the middle of it. That shift in feeling happens quietly on an unremarkable Thursday, and you only notice it weeks later when you realize the dread is gone. You notice it first in a small, almost embarrassing way. A coworker mentions refinancing a car she just bought, brand new, and the old version of you would have gone home and felt behind for the rest of the night. This time you just think that's nice for her, and you mean it, and then you keep thinking about your own Thursday plans. The absence of that old sting is the actual milestone. Nobody puts that on a chart, but it is the whole reason any of the numbers eventually move. Then the test arrives because it always does. Your dentist finds a cavity that needs a crown, $540. The kind of bill that used to mean a third card and a spiral of shame that lasted half a year. This time there is $900 sitting in a separate account, built slowly while you were still paying down debt, because somewhere in year one you learned that paying down debt and building a cushion are not opposites competing for the same dollar. They are two things that have to happen at the same time, or neither one survives contact with real life. You pay the dentist. Your stomach tightens a little watching the balance drop because $540 still matters to you, but you do not open a new card. You drive home, park in the same spot you always park in, and you sleep fine that night. That detail, sleeping fine, is worth more than the number itself. By month 34, the second card hits zero. There is no confetti. You check your phone at your kitchen table under a light that flickers slightly when the refrigerator kicks on, and you sit there for a second, and then you go back to folding laundry because it is Sunday and the laundry does not care what your bank balance says. What you actually built in those 34 months was never really about the $11,200. It was about becoming someone who looks directly at an uncomfortable number instead of flinching from it. Someone who sends $25 on a Wednesday for no visible reward except that it is the right thing to do. That habit does not expire when the debt does. It is the only thing you keep for the rest of your life. There is a version of this story where someone hands you money instead, a settlement, an inheritance, a lucky break that erases the number overnight. That version exists for some people. It did not happen for you, and there is a strange kind of steadiness and wealth you built one uncomfortable Wednesday at a time, because nobody can hand you a windfall and take away the discipline it takes to build one yourself. Years from now, you will not remember the exact interest rate on that second card. You will remember standing in a restaurant bathroom ordering water in your head before you ever said it out loud. You will remember the flickering kitchen light on the night the number hit zero, and folding laundry 2 minutes later like it was any other Sunday, because by then it genuinely was. Ask someone who never carried debt what a zero balance feels like, and they will look at you a little confused, the way you would look confused if someone asked what it feels like to finally stop holding your breath. They have never held it. You have. That is not a disadvantage anymore. It is fluency in something they will never be forced to learn. Nobody was watching any of this happen. No one saw the bathroom moment at your friend's birthday dinner, or the 4 minutes you spent staring at a spreadsheet on month one, or the $25 that felt like nothing 34 times in a row, which is exactly why it counts. If you are still in the middle of this right now, subscribe. Next time, we go inside the exact month most people quit, the one where the number barely moves and it would be so easy to stop, and why that month is closer to the end than it feels.